Welcome to a brand new episode of Load In, Load Out, a tour story podcast produced right here in Athens, Georgia at the state-of-the-art Kindercore vinyl pressing facility. On this episode, Ryan and Cash sit down with Ryan and Andrew. They were both in the band Reptar. Ryan now performs under the name Curt Castle, and Andrew plays drums in Neighbor Lady. Topics of conversation include, but are not limited to, playing hard to get while dressed as Tinky Winky, Pickachu goes over the edge singing the song of his people, and a special chase sequence guest starring Jace from Double Ferrari. Enjoy!
Hey everybody, I'm Ryan.
And I'm Cash.
And this is Load In.
Load Out.
And I just realized we're sitting on the opposite side of the room than we normally do. It's weirding me out.
To your right.
I usually look this way. I'm going to do the podcast with my back to you. Hey guys. Our guests this week are...
I'm Ryan.
I'm Andrew.
Tell us who you are. Not just names. Not just names.
So my name is Ryan. I am the bass player for Reptar. I also, Andrew and I toured together doing a band called Semicircle that he still does.
Okay.
I'm performing under the stage name Curt Castle these days.
Okay.
You pressing 7-inch here?
Yeah.
Yes.
Just listen to
test pressing.
beautiful test pressing for 7-inch.
Excellent. So so that we have it officially, are we approved on that one then?
That's officially approved.
All right, let's do it. That's exciting.
Digital history.
It's now on
podcast
tape.
over.
Yep,
Yeah.
you guys are going to make some records. All right, cool. So,
Cool.
now.
Yeah, I'm Andrew. I play drums in Reptar. I'm also currently playing drums in a band in Athens called Neighbor Lady. Yep, still doing, I don't know, doing the drums.
Doing the drums, yeah. This is it.
Stoked to be here.
This is also alternates as an occasional drum podcast from two drummers who aren't like super drummers. You know, like neither of us are like gear. So occasionally we've had a drummer on and it's like, cool, we're all drummers. And they're like, oh, let me. And then they start talking about really technical stuff. And I'm like, never mind, I guess I'm not a drummer. I just hit those things that I own in the other
the
room.
Floating hardware or not?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just buy the cheapest that I can.
Yeah.
That doesn't fall apart.
Yeah.
At least for a year, and then after a year, if it falls apart, all right, whatever.
And I hit them hard.
Yeah.
So you guys, did you know each other before you started playing in Reptar together?
Nope.
So you guys met at UGA? Did Reptar start at UGA? Like as a student band? Were you students?
Well, no.
So
No, it did not.
So Graham
Right.
and William and I played in a band together in high school.
Okay.
And William and I went to the same high school. Graham went to a different one.
Which was where?
The high school?
Yes.
It was Westminster.
But like a location.
Oh, Atlanta.
Like, outside of Atlanta.
Yeah,
okay.
sorry.
Yeah,
I'm really self-conscious about it, so I was
No.
afraid that you were
Yeah.
always going to be like...
private school.
yeah,
I went
it's-
to private school my whole life.
Yeah,
so I
totally.
went. It's like a scholarship private school kid, and I went to
Yeah.
boarding school. So people are always weirded out about that when I'm like, I went to boarding school. And they're like, "What'd you do wrong?" Because apparently in the South, you only go to boarding school if you're in trouble.
Right.
So it was, but mine was where they filmed Dead Poets Society.
Oh, nice.
But it
Yeah.
was co-ed, so and not quite as strict. But yeah. So no. You're
So yeah, we all...
you're in
Yeah,
good
I really
highfalutin-
felt like I was being called out
No,
there.
you're in good
shit.
highfalutin
I know, I
company
was-
here.
If you could just edit that, just beep that out, that'd probably be...
I went
Yeah.
to working man high school, working school,
Yeah, totally.
School of Hard Knocks.
Yeah. But yeah, so we knew each other just from Atlanta.
Okay.
And then Graham and I both went to different schools, but William went to UGA.
Okay.
Yeah.
Met Andrew.
Yeah, and actually William and I started playing in a band called Cocorico before
I remember
Reptar.
that. Yeah.
Which is funny that existed before Reptar because Reptar now has like a handful of releases and Cocorico has been a band for longer and we don't actually have any
No releases?
Yeah.
Really? Oh,
Lots
that's
of
funny.
recordings.
Lots of
Just
recordings.
so many
Just no releases.
recordings.
So funny.
But yeah, and then William just invited me to come hang out over winter break of like 2008 and the rest.
Then the rest is history. And you guys watched Rugrats, and you were like, "Here we go, let's do this."
Actually, I think Graham just like said it. I think he was just like, he's like, yeah, fuck it, we'll just call it Reptar. And we never really expected this
okay.
band to like we never thought that like people would ever listen to the band or anything. And then
So who cares what it's named?
yeah,
Right.
then like
Yeah, that's why we had a record label called Kindercore that became a pressing play called Kindercore. One
Yeah.
dumb name that's followed me my whole life because
Yeah.
we thought no one would care in 1996.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I feel you.
Yeah. And then it's like 5 years later and we're like I don't know, 5 years later, we're just like, fuck. I called him Reptar.
I've spent just a much higher percentage of my adult life talking about, Rugrats, talking about dinosaurs than I ever wanted to, planned to.
We actually, none of us liked that show. Like, I've never even seen it before because I'm old. So, like,
it's fine.
I'm sure it's probably fine.
Yeah. You know who did the voice of Tommy Pickles?
Who?
You remember that movie Better Off Dead with the girl who's singing "I'd be better off dead"?
I remember the movie, but I don't remember that part.
She does the voice of Tommy Pickles.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm going to assume that Tommy Pickles is a character on Rugrats.
Yes.
Okay, good. That
I'd
explains
say Tommy
that.
is like the main protagonist.
Yeah.
Of the
Okay.
show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to go back.
She's also in Big Top. She was also in Pee Wee Herman. She's the one who was
Somebody pause the computer so I can go watch some Rugrats and come back and understand.
She was the
what
one that
we're
he
talking
said, she was Dottie. I'm a
Oh, I'm a rebel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dottie, a loner Dottie, a rebel.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's the
Dottie.
one who does the voice of Tommy Pickles on Rugrats.
Wow.
There you go.
Okay.
Didn't know
cool.
that.
Podcast over.
Yeah.
Boop. No. So anyway, so Reptars started playing, and you guys started like playing really big shows pretty quickly, right? Like it seemed like Reptar. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, I mean, it definitely compared to every other project I've ever been in.
Yeah.
Super quickly, for
right.
sure.
Yeah.
And I mean, there was still like, it sort of felt like what happened is we all moved together in Athens in the summer of, I think, 2009.
Yeah.
And we were living in a house together on Peter Street. And we played Tasty World at least once a week and often Go Bar in the same week. And so, we were playing like 6 shows a month in summertime Athens where there's no one to, everyone that is in Athens is already playing to no one at whichever place you're not playing that night.
Right. Yeah.
Which goes against all logic. Because logic tells you play once every 2 or 3 months. Otherwise, no one's going to give a shit about you because they're just going to be sick of you.
Yeah,
Right.
but it was nice because like if nobody already gives a shit, then like, why not?
Right.
And so I feel like we squeezed in a band's like first year of existence into
like
the
2
period
weeks.
of like 2.5 months.
That's
like
that first summer or whatever. Yeah. But that's great though because you got comfortable on stage, got worked through the songs, got stuff. I mean, that's an intense like period of work.
And that was also like, William who plays keys in Reptar is a just colossus of a personality.
Right.
And was at that point like doing the thing where he was literally walking into the dining hall at UGA and saying, who's a person I don't know? I'm going to sit down with them and get to know them.
Yeah, it was really annoying to be friends with him because
That's
I would
intense.
just want to like go chill at UGA.
But
and,
then
like,
there's,
hanging
like-
out with William was always an event.
Right. Because it's just bringing more people into the...
So the result of that meant like, we grew about, a year's worth in 2.5 months when no one was there. And then, people came back for their sophomore year and William texts his 1,000 friends that he's just made.
Okay.
And says like, hey, my band's playing at Tasty World, whatever. We've done it like 20
the
times
weekend
this
that
summer.
school got back.
Oh, wow.
And it was like,
I mean, we
So it's like
we
somebody turned the
literally-
power on. All
we
of a sudden.
literally
It was
went
like,
from
whoa.
playing, I'm not kidding, like 4 people who are
Right.
also playing the show
Yeah.
a week or 2 before to being like, I think at capacity at Tasty
Wow.
World.
That's
Anyways, Tasty
awesome.
World upstairs when they had the upstairs downstairs thing. So.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, it really was just like all of a sudden.
You're braver than I am. I wouldn't have carried my stuff up those
God.
stairs twice a week.
William
I
was
was
we were
trying to
young and
fucking-
dumb.
Yeah,
we had our roads.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
it was terrible.
like a big one, like the full 88 key.
Oh
roads.
man, wow. But those were great shows. I mean, like I caught some of the, I don't think I caught any of the early. Obviously, I wasn't one of the 4 people at the early shows of that summer. But I mean,
That's
I think that
for the
year I
best.
started
That's
to
for the best,
see you guys and some really great shows. And then
Yeah.
I think the Buddy System played with you guys somewhere once, right? Maybe at the 40 Watt or something.
I know
don't
Grape Soda.
Yeah, or Grape Soda.
yeah.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That was
we
really
love Grape
fun.
Soda.
Yeah, Grape Soda was awesome.
I
Man.
still love Grape
That
Soda.
album is so good.
I still
I
tell-
actually think I have 2 copies of it on record.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. We have a whole nother record that
Yeah.
is that has been recorded. We started recording a new record in the end of the fall of 2010 because 2011 because my daughter was about to be born. In anticipation, we were like, let's just get all this stuff done. And now my daughter is 6, and so are those recordings.
Yeah.
They've not been finished.
Yeah.
So
No, I still put Grape Soda on like Athens playlists.
that's
for
awesome.
People.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I give it up to Matt's songs. But so then Reptar then started to expand. Like, tell us how you got out of town, because you guys did some big touring, right?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think a huge part of it was that element of surprise, and like we were as surprised as anyone else. That like, really, I mean, I think Michelle wrote something for Flagpole that was like, I went to a show not planning on review it, but it seemed like all of a sudden I was at, this awesome show with all of these people when none of us knew that it was a thing a week ago.
Right.
And so that sort of awesome. Like element of surprise, I think, got people to talk. Because it's one thing to be like, hey, I'm planning on going to that show Friday. And then, like, to Tuesday after, it's like, oh, how's the show? Like, oh, man, it was super cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
But if you just wander into something and all of a sudden there's 100 other people.
And everyone else just wandered in.
And no one knows why they're there.
Right.
Like, we don't know why we're
this
playing.
guy William that I met at the dining hall.
Yeah, for real. And that's honestly really accurate. Like,
I mean that is sort of like the foundation of that band's success, because then we started playing at the 40 Watt and people were like, man, you have to go to this Reptar show. Like, I don't even know what's happening, but a bunch of people are there.
That was when I started showing up. I was like, oh man, there's this band, and and like I think I had seen you guys at a house. Maybe.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Did you play at a house together first?
Probably.
On Ruth Street, I think there was a house on Ruth Street.
494 Ruth Street.
Yes,
Game operator.
Yeah.
Is that the one they still have shows at? It was like the barn in the back.
No, that was we were right across the street from that house though. But
we had some awesome bands play there too. Lake played there. That was a really good show.
Lake?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
And again, a lot of that I feel like was William just reaching out on the internet and being like, you guys want to play?
It's amazing how that can happen. Like, people are afraid to do that. But I had this friend, Max Wood, whenever I was living back in Jacksonville, and he ended up becoming friends with like Rivers Cuomo and Lou Barlow, just because he just had the guts to just reach out and be like, hey.
Yeah.
When I come to your show, basically, let's
I used
meet.
to do that when we started Kindercore first. Like, I would just go up to everyone and be like, "Hi, how's it going? I'm Ryan. I'm going to do this thing. Let's hang out." Blah blah blah.
Right.
Would be like,
it works.
Okay,
Yeah, it totally works.
Yeah. The weirdest ever was going to see Mosquito, which was Jad Fair and Steve Shelley from Sonic Youth.
Whoa.
Playing at the Atomic, and there was hardly anyone there. And so I went up and talked to Steve Shelley afterwards, and we talked a bunch, and he was super nice. And then I went to Lollapalooza the next week at Lakewood, and I was walking by the side stage area, and I hear somebody go, Ryan. And I turned around, and it was fucking Steve Shelley from Sonic Youth, who remembered my name. I was 20. Like, he remembered my name as like this kid who lived in the dorms, and he was just like, hey, how you doing, man? And I was like, oh my God.
I'm doing amazing.
Yeah, I was like, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me.
I was kind of shitty about 10 minutes ago, but
Sonic Youth was like life-changing to me at that point. So I was just like, what the, so yeah, I mean, it is true. It but so then you guys started touring. Did that happen on your own, or did people get you?
So that's like, we started playing 40 Watt, and then, Valina was like, I don't exactly know what's happening, but there's people showing up to the show.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not, but always people are having a good time.
Right.
And so then, I mean, I think this part of it speaks so much to the difference, of a town like Athens versus everywhere else. Where it's like, it's connected to the music scene as a whole in a way that, it's maybe not as connected as New York or something.
Sure.
But at the same time, like, you have prominent people, but it's not so huge that you can't talk to someone.
That's the thing. Right. Yeah, it's better in a way than bigger places.
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
Like, I lived in New York, so have you.
Yeah.
And
it's the hardest place I've ever been at a band.
There's this feeling of being a drop in a lake. You know what I mean? Whereas here, it's like, oh, there's Dottie from Montreal, and you go up and you talk to him, and they'll talk. Like, you can't be an asshole here. Like, you can't get away with that.
Well,
so
I mean,
like,
you can't get away
everybody's
with
nice
that.
to
That's
each
true.
other.
Some
Well, there are a few.
but
There are a few people out there,
but you get called out, and it gets
but everyone knows.
Right, exactly.
And so it's as connected to the music scene as some of these bigger cities, but it has the added benefit the added benefit of you can't be an asshole.
Right.
It's
like,
funny.
You have to be nice to each other.
It's funny to me, like, I ended up moving back to Atlanta in 2012 and have been there for a long time. And it's funny to me that every time I've done anything with any other project, like trying to do music, I have used connections in Athens.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious.
Totally.
Like, being in Atlanta, that's like,
you're like, I should
huge
be
megalocalypse. Like,
totally.
like,
Yeah.
so.
Definitely. I mean, and I think that, like, that's what happened. Valina was like, hey, I know like y'all are booking these shows here. I don't know if you're looking for anything new, but just sort of mentioned to a couple agents.
Yeah.
One of whom reached out to us and was like, I think your band's cool. I heard from Valina that like, it's a really good live show. I don't know if y'all have an agent. Of course we don't.
Right.
Like, we don't.
Exactly.
We don't.
Yeah. You're like, dude, we play Tasty World 6 times a week.
Yeah.
Did
Like,
you play it
we're set.
Did you play it like, well, we got a couple people we're talking to.
I mean, honestly, even worse, we were like, this is pretty sketchy. People don't just like reach out to you out of nowhere and try and help you. And like, she really like
thank God for the internet. We were just able to like look it up.
But even though we did, we were just real. Like, we were in disbelief. And so, I mean, she took about a month of emailing us and being like, I'm not asking, like, I won't take commission until you start making more. It was like,
my God,
this
that's so
right.
funny.
And we were just like, I
other-
know how the music industry works. It's terrible. Everyone's lying and cheating.
Yeah.
And this thing can't happen. So this has to be a lie. How are you going to get us?
That's so funny.
And finally she was like, y'all are idiots.
He's like,
this is the last time I'm going to ask, can I book some shows?
Nice.
And we were like,
that's great though.
okay, fine.
Yeah.
I mean, it was kind of funny because it, like right around that time, a lot of stuff kind of started happening at the same time. Like that happened, and then probably the biggest thing that happened to Reptar to really kind of like boosted like onto more of like a national, like outside of Athens thing was we played at the Drunken Unicorn in Atlanta, and Ben Allen, who's a producer, just literally happened to see the show. Like he was there to see this band called Guyliner that was like,
I think I remember hearing that name.
And and it was really funny because he like came up to us after the show and was just like, hey, like really great show, blah 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 blah. And we were just like, okay, whatever. He's like, yeah, I have a studio.
Yeah.
And we're just like, sure, like
me
too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Everyone in Athens has studios.
Right.
And then I remember thinking it was so funny because
Like, guys, I'm famous.
yeah, I mean,
really what he said, he was talking to Graham and he was like, just look, don't worry about it, just write down my name. You don't have to say anything now. Just look me up. Here's my email.
Right.
If you want to work with me, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I've got some time. I want to do something local.
That's crazy.
And just like
very very chill, but very just like
you want to do this. You should do this.
Yeah, we were all just like whatever.
I feel like maybe your guys' attitude of like disbelief and like like maybe a little suspicion helped you because you were like almost seemed aloof in a way that made people want to, you know what I mean? Like where it's like,
maybe.
no, we want, you know what I mean? Like you're just like
funny.
the booking agent is just like, well, now they're playing hard to get. I really need to go after it.
Which
you know
is
what I mean?
the complete antithesis of like the musical
wasn't planned
performance
at
or
all.
anything
Yeah.
like
Right.
that, or who we are as people.
That's
It's just
so
like
funny.
because musically, William at that same show, we're probably talking to him while William is wearing a C-3PO costume that he got when he was 12 that doesn't fit
With
him
a dashiki
anymore.
on top
That
of it.
he's ripped in half to fit into it, and like I'm probably in a Teletubby costume, just like. But playing hard to get, and so people are like, I don't fucking know what
Like, we
is
are not
going
hard
on.
to get, guys.
Yeah.
playing hard to get is Tinky Winky, the Reptar story.
I mean, I really think that like, it's just
That's
like
so
we
funny.
were as confused, if not more confused, than anyone else about what we were doing.
Yeah.
Which made it seem like authentic as ever. Like
Right.
I can't dance well. I'm dancing on stage.
Yeah. Right.
I don't know if you think you can't dance well, but look at what we're
Come on,
doing. You
right.
can
Yeah,
definitely
totally.
dance at least that well.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So did that sort of like naivete or innocence or whatever like translate to touring too? Was that
Yes.
sort of like when you got on tour where you're like, wait,
Yes.
what's happening?
I mean, I feel like we were all really lucky that everyone in the band is like pretty put together.
Right.
Like,
Yes, you
so
are.
it wasn't like
bands with people that weren't like that.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Well, we had people who toured with us later who
were
you
less
know,
put together.
Less
But-
put together.
Right. Yeah.
But so I think the early tour, it was just like, it was really funny to us, but we also made some hilarious decisions that like put us in some very hilarious situations.
Well, go
Go
on. That's,
on.
I mean, because like we had actually done a tour before this booking agent reached out to us. That like we had booked ourselves and
Okay.
just like met, having played with touring bands for
Right.
2.5 months in Athens, 3 times a week.
right.
Like,
Called in the favors and went and played in their towns.
Right.
Yeah.
and I don't know. I mean that first tour is still some of like
The craziest stories.
the most hilarious shit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really trying to figure out like
what you can tell us.
Where to
the
start?
launching off point. So first of all, just to set the scene, it was Coco Rico and Reptar touring together.
You Lead Athens is a group of and underdocumented leaders in Athens, Georgia, with the goal of equal access to higher education for students of immigrant families who are in or have recently graduated from high school. You Lead students, along with public school, university, and community mentors and allies, work towards this goal by 1. Studying for college entrance exams, 2. Applying to colleges and scholarships that will accept students of varying documentation status, and 3. Finding financial support for attending institutions of higher education. To learn more about their mission, go to uleadathens.org. That's ULEAD Athens.org.
So Reptar and Coco Rico are going on tour together.
We're going on tour together.
Okay.
And we are riding in my sister's Toyota Sequoia.
Yeah.
Which is a big car, but it's certainly not a van.
So that's like an SUV, right?
Yeah, it's an SUV. So we have,
2 bands and equipment.
Yeah.
Well,
one band of equipment.
Sure, right.
But
Sure.
keep in mind, it was a band with like a Rhodes and several
trailer?
keyboards aside from that. No, it's just all shoved in the car and
you
then
didn't put any on top?
nothing on
Man.
top. We did have as our guiding light. My sister had a picture of her best friend. It was like it's smiley face sticker, like sort of taped with smiley face stickers onto the rear view mirror.
Okay.
And this is someone that's been like a family friend forever
Sure.
for me, but everyone else is like, who the fuck is this? 14-year-old girl that is like, this is so creepy. I can't just be in a
this is
van.
uncomfortable. This is weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, got 4 19-year-old, 18-year-old dudes rolling around the country with a picture of a 14-year-old girl in the rear view mirror. Like, what in
the funny thing to me is like, this person is fine. It's not like she died. It's not like it's not like we're like memorializing this person. It just like happens to be his sister's
really
friend.
funny.
And it just like the whole time it was just like it's like, man, I really miss Jessica. Like I don't know.
It's always fun how things like that on tour can like bring you a like something to rally around. Like the agenda was on this really long tour that was like in parts going poorly and the van kept breaking down. And in Florida, we ran into Josh McKay from Matcha and Beekeeper and stuff, and he gave us a Pickachu that had been in the van that we had bought from them. So we had bought their old van, and they had this Pickachu that, like, when you pressed it, it was like a bootleg Pikachu, and it sang something that sounded like the hamster dance, you can do it, you can do it. But then after a while, it would just do it, and you couldn't get it to stop. And so it became like this thing, and it was like this, like, we love you, but we hate you. And then somebody once like took it out of the van, and then everyone was like, we can't leave that, get it, Yeah. And then eventually we threw it over the side of Niagara Falls. We went to Canada. And we walked across the border, and when we got to we stood right 1 foot in America and 1 foot in Canada. And threw it over, free. And it was great because when we threw it over the edge, it was going. Like it just went like.
You fucking litter bug.
I know, telling that story, I feel kind of bad because we did totally litter, but it was kind of awesome.
Yeah, if you're gonna litter, you gotta do it big.
Right? Throw a bootleg Pikachu off the side of a branch.
So this picture come into play in some crazy way?
No, it's just sort of just a constant light. But I mean. That definitely was the first time that we had, we were playing some of the smallest, weirdest, most poorly set up shows we'd ever play.
And you were kids, right?
Which were
like
what's
19.
The worst?
19. Well, I mean,
call them out.
I want to say all of them.
All of them were the worst. Yeah.
So pretty early on, we played in Richmond, and it was it was a lot of like playing in restaurants that is fine.
Wait, was it a
here.
Chinese restaurant in Richmond?
No. There's this place called The Camel, which I've heard is actually had the potential to be fine.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think they had literally just opened maybe a month before that. And so it was weird.
Yeah. And so in what would become like a weird motif for this tour, there was a local band that we were playing with. And I was like, yeah, so obviously you'll headline, and then we get there that day and like, hey, so like, we're all married and like being out late's kind of a bummer. So I think we're just gonna play first and then go home. But then like, y'all go get him after that. Like,
go get who?
Told you that they were gonna go home.
Yeah.
They didn't do the thing where they stick around for one or two songs and then slip out.
No, they were just like,
it's
the school night, so I gotta get home. I really, and we went on at like 9. They went on. They were like, we kind of want to get on at like 7:30.
Oh my God.
And then
Nobody goes out anywhere in any city before 9, 10 o'clock.
Right.
Wow.
So we play a show to, like, we're right in between that time where like people are in the restaurant eating dinner. So there's no one eating dinner, and then there's also no one that's trying to go out yet.
Right. So it's perfect.
Right.
They set you up perfectly.
And we're like, all right, well, we're in fucking Richmond. I guess we got to find somewhere to stay. There's a table of people over here. Like, we could talk to them.
You send William, right? He loves to talk to people.
Yeah, you told the story most recently, I guess, if you want to take over from here.
So basically, we talked to this girl who was like pretty lit on a Tuesday, and
good sign.
She looked like she was about our age. She was looked like she was
like a young person.
20s,
okay.
And so we're just like, hey, hate to bother you, like, blah, 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 like looking for a place to stay. And if you know anyone, she was like, yeah, like you guys can stay with me, like it'll be so cool. Like I'm actually about to head out, but here's my number. Like, all that stuff. And we're just like, yes, like that worked out so well.
Yeah.
So we play a horrible show and get in the car. We're about to head out. We like text her, trying to get the address, and she's like, yeah, cool. Like, I'm at home. I'm actually about to go to bed. I gotta wake up to get my daughter to school in the morning.
Been there before.
And we're just like, oh, that's weird.
You've got a daughter? She's like, yeah, she's got like she's got like an algebra test tomorrow. She's
God.
In high school, and we're just like,
what is happening?
Okay.
Yeah.
And she's like, but we could still stay at your house?
Yeah, I was like, this is getting weird.
And she's like, oh, well, no, I was thinking actually, like, you could, like, stay at my mom's house. She's like, I'm not going to be over there today, because I got to, make sure my daughter gets to school. But, like, you can totally, it's totally cool.
Yeah.
Like, you sure about that?
Yeah, we're just like, okay.
And she's like, yeah, it's totally cool. Like, text you the address. So she texts us the address, and we're like, well, I mean, like.
Got no other option.
Yeah, like, what else are we going to do? Yeah.
Yeah.
This house ends up being, like, 35 minutes outside of Richmond.
Of course it does.
Which is the woods, basically.
Yeah.
And so we drive out there. It's pretty late at this point. It's like probably 1:30 in the morning. And we are like getting pretty weirded out because we're driving down these back roads of Virginia at 1:30 in the morning. And we finally like go down this really long driveway and pull up to this house. And we're just like, dude, this is really fucking weird.
It's like, all the lights are off.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. And so we pull up and we like, I think she must have given us her mom's number or something.
Well, we called her again when we got there because I remember very specifically what she said next, which was, I think we're at your mom's house. And she said, cool, let me call her and let her know that you're coming.
Oh, geez.
And it's like...
It is 1:30 in the morning.
After you've already driven 25 miles outside of Richmond to the woods where there's no hotels and there's no chance of finding. Yeah, okay, good.
And so we see the light flick on. We see this woman who is clearly asleep, curlers in her hair.
An elderly woman.
Oh my God.
Like
Oh my
70s at least.
Walk to her house phone, pick it up, look out the window at us with a look of horror in her face that all of a sudden in the middle of the woods outside of Richmond, there are 5
teenagers from Athens, Georgia.
5 teenagers rolling up in a Toyota Sequoia that she has and it's 1:30 in the morning. She doesn't know any of this is happening.
She doesn't know you. She didn't know it was going to happen. Yeah. Oh my God.
If I say no to these guys, are they going to break into the house?
I know, exactly. Yeah, we were freaked out, but she was way more freaked out.
I bet. Yeah.
And, but I mean,
did she let you in?
Really ended up happening. I mean, she let us in, and she was like being as nice as she could be, but she was very standoffish
in a very protected way. She was like, "Okay, well, you can stay in my game room, which is like basically like a finished garage that has this safari themed wallpaper." And she's like, "Well, you can each have a yoga mat to sleep on," and it's like, I mean, she's like. being hospitable, but in a way where she can definitely literally lock the door behind us and I don't know these people. Yeah. They're staying out here. I will at least be safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was my favorite thing is like they were yoga mats, but they were like, remember in like middle school how they had like the gym mats that they would bring out to do that?
Yeah.
That's what it was. They were like these weird, like sweaty workout gym mats
that had been used.
That had definitely been used.
Perfect.
And my favorite thing is, since it was a finished garage, there was like one tiny window.
Yeah.
So it was like pretty pitch black in there. But she turns the lights on and the entire thing is jungle themed.
Oh my God.
So it's this like the wallpaper is this like elaborate jungle setting. Which is in hindsight is kind of awesome. But at the time we were just like, what the
Yeah. Wow.
Like,
you guys were both freaking each other out.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah.
Everyone was unhappy.
So
no one liked that
You've been
situation.
on the search for that wallpaper ever since.
Yeah. Amazon really let me down.
That is amazing.
But yeah, and then I don't know. It was just so funny to like show up at this lady's house at 1:30 in the morning in the middle of the woods in Virginia.
Did she make you guys leave in the morning early, or?
She was actually in the morning. Yeah. She was like, "Can I make y'all breakfast?" I mean, she definitely turned into like stereotypical Southern hospitality.
Oh, they didn't try to kill me.
Right. And you know, we obviously like. In the morning, we're like, "Thank you so. I know this is super weird. We're trying to be apologetic. Like it. It was very nice in the morning. It's
That's
just
funny.
hard.
Did y'all accept the breakfast?
Yeah, she made us eggs.
Oh yeah,
that's awesome.
Was it awesome?
Made us tea.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
I'm sure it seemed like in the morning she had come to terms with the fact that her daughter had just like totally fucked her over.
Right. Yeah.
Like
Like, she's like, wait, this happens. It happened again.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
So she realized that we were also the victim. We were both.
Okay,
We were
right.
both.
We were all the
Yeah, she's like, you met my daughter.
Right.
So,
We all had
Her daughter was the
survival.
Pikachu that you all
wanted to
threw off the
Yeah.
But you know, we had a place to stay. So
Yeah,
at the end of the
it
day,
worked.
that's a success
You
story.
survived.
Of
Yeah,
It's
like,
one of those
exactly.
things where, especially on tour, you're like, all right, you know, I'm going to do this, and this is weird. And if this were in my hometown, I would never do this because I would have to see this person around sometime.
Right.
I'm never going to see this person again.
Right.
So this is super weird, and then we can just drive
can
away
leave.
from it.
Yeah.
And talk about it on our podcast in years to come.
and so we drove away and kept on going up the coast.
Yeah.
And you keep in touch with her, and every time you go through Richmond, you go
Every time.
stay with
Right.
her mom
we
again.
we trade Christmas cards. We also probably the next strangest place that we stayed. It's all good strange now that I'm thinking about it. But it is definitely
Like
one of those things where in the moment, like when you now I know that the ending is that I'm still here and it's all
Right.
fine.
Sure.
But in the moment, you never know what it's going to be.
Oh yeah.
So this is a danger
So
story.
we play at this place called the 11s.
Okay.
and,
I was wondering if. Yeah.
Okay.
you know, we're under 21, and it's definitely one of those places where it's like, we're going to let you play here, but let me get the biggest Sharpie we can.
I've been in that situation.
Yeah.
Or
my
like
God.
I started touring when I was 16, and like it would do either that or they'd be like, all right, you can come in, load your equipment in,
Yeah.
leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when it's time to play, you come in and play, leave again, and then when we're
Right.
closed, you can come back in and get paid.
When
So
Matt
that
when Matt was
happens later
18,
in this
later,
tour,
yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Matt
We're
had
getting
to sit in
that.
a closet in Utah once when he was 18, and the rest of they literally made him sit in a closet, and I had to set his drums up, and they escorted him to the stage, and then escorted him out of the building.
Yeah.
Like it was
Oh
like
my
you can
God.
stay in the closet before the show. There was a chair in the closet.
Yeah.
And then
Good
yeah.
God.
So,
The lights have to be off.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
can't
It was it was so
legally
weird.
have
Yeah.
to be off.
Anyway, go ahead.
So we haven't gotten to that show
Okay.
yet on the tour, but
Yeah.
so again, we played with two local bands. The one that originally was going to be headlining was like, you know, we kind of want to
Leave.
play early so that we can leave.
yeah.
But-
like that's what's happening this tour.
What possesses someone in a band to say that to somebody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you're in a band.
That is
Guess
pretty
you
shitty.
probably toured. You got to know how shitty you sound right now.
Yeah.
So not only is that annoying about them, they are a jam band, and they play a
yeah.
full 2.5 hour set.
Before you.
And before us. They are first of three, and they play a full 2.5 hour set. And
Oh my God.
there are people who would come to see it, and they're just like, you know,
Yeah.
it's nice to like talk to y'all people in Reptar for a second, but like
I can't tolerate this shit.
Yeah, and by people I mean like 5 people. Sure. It's not like there's a lot of people. There's still 5 people.
On a tour, that's hey,
fuck yeah.
They came out. Anybody that comes out with purpose. I mean, that's
right. So I mean, I think it was like we're always down to share gear, and so I think it started with Andrew being like, "Hey, could we like use your drum kit?" And they're like, actually, we're just gonna play first, and then we'll leave. So y'all should probably use your own. So
love it, love it. Bands helping each other.
Yeah. So we play the show, and to no one.
So, the band that you played with, Brushes Like Fire?
Constantly Burning Fire.
Constantly Burning Fire.
So basically, they have like backing tracks and sock puppets and dance routines.
Okay.
And so, they know like we're not a band necessarily. We're more of an entertaining thing.
Sure.
And it's like they have a rule where like each one of them is supposed to bring the sock puppets to a certain thing, and they have backup stuff to make them.
Okay.
But if you forget your sock puppet, you have to use your own dirty sock, which I think is a pretty good,
How
form
many
of
people
band
were in
justice.
this band?
Just 2. It's just like a 2-piece doing.
So I wonder if one of them would forget their sock on purpose, their sock puppet on purpose a few times. So like, oh, here's this funny thing.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
Anyway, after the show, doors are open, and this guy just like floats in and very sweetly, and it's like, hi, like I wasn't at the show, but I saw that you you guys were here, and I just wanted to see what's going on. Just through the open doors, we're loading out. It's like, actually we nothing is going on. Like Constantly Burning Fire lived in a different city, so like you can't, you could stay with us, but it's like a 45-minute drive in the wrong direction. So this guy's like, oh yeah, like if you want to stay with me, like I'm not too far away. You can, I have to work in the morning, but
I'm not a murderer.
Totally.
I swear, I'm not a murderer.
Like this guy, do you remember what his name was?
I think it was Max, but
very very he was like androgynous, beautiful, like fairy man.
Okay.
Like very like wood nymph,
like an elf from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
Very much like an elf from Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
We were just like, okay, magical creature,
magical
creature
man.
Come stay in my tree.
Magical like Western Massachusetts creature man. And so we like go back to his house.
Well, first we're like, so you got to work in the morning. What do you do? And he's like, oh, I work at the butterfly garden. And it's
of course
just
you
like,
do.
Yeah.
Of course
we were
you
just
do.
like, yeah.
Yes.
This is all this is congruent.
That tracks.
But yeah, so we go back to his house, and I think he like go in first. Did he like make us wait outside for a second?
Yeah, he was like, we'd followed him again 35 minutes outside town and more into the woods.
Yeah.
And it was definitely like
a little.
Here we go.
And then
again.
I tell you guys, like, guys, we gotta stop doing this. Gotta ask where people live from now on.
Yeah, let me go in first. I'll get things ready, make sure my dog's locked up, and then you guys can come in.
Okay.
I'm trying to think like how this part happened, or like how we noticed this. But he like that place.
It was the next morning.
That was the next morning. Okay, so we walk in and there's like he's super nice. I mean the place is like great. It's like this cabin in the woods. It's great. Right. But so the next morning, like we wake up and he's gone, and we realize that there's this table that's like covered with this like really ornamental cloth. And we're just like, oh, that's kind of funny. And being nosy as we were,
sure,
we like just kind of lifted up the thing, and it was like this weird like
bones and
like,
stones
and like ceremonial daggers.
What?
And stuff.
Like underneath this piece of cloth.
This ceremonial ritualistic
Whoa.
cloth.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we look around, and there's like a Wiccan section and then like a couple cultish sections.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we realized that like this dude's whole thing is like very occult, like stuff.
Like getting a couple of guys back into his cabin at the woods and then maybe sacrificing them.
Maybe.
Just one.
Maybe. Or maybe giving them special powers.
He'd gone off to work at the Butterfly Garden. So,
Yeah.
There was a guy named
sweet.
Jeff in your band before, but that was when Jeff was no longer in the band.
Yeah.
It was just one of those things where like you go to sleep and you think you're going to sleep in like rustic mountain cabin, and then you wake up and it's actually like
Wait a minute.
somewhat ritualistic fairy cabin that you wake up surrounded by bones that you didn't know were there.
And then
And
Jeff
knives.
is gone.
and Jeff's gone. And then you walk out, and again, like the guy, he was super sweet, and he was like, he gave us a place to stay.
Yeah.
And it was really, but it was definitely like,
But it was a weird
this
place
is
to
not
stay.
where this is not where I thought I was waking up. And we're leaving, and definitely like a woman, like there's no cabins around for miles, and a woman just sort of like walks out. It's like, what are you doing here? What are you doing in Max's cabin?
Oh
It's
my
like,
God.
Oh my God, who are you? Where did you come from? Why are you yelling at me?
Yeah.
Oh.
And like,
She's the witch that lives in the woods,
She
right?
was very much the witch that lives in the woods, for sure.
It's so weird because whenever we were young, like my mom moved out of the house. My brother was a little bit older. I think the year before my senior year, and I started being in bands when I was like 15. So we played with bands, some bands that were fairly well recognized, and they'd come and stay back at the house. My mom just moved out of the house. Everything was still decorated like how my mom lived there.
Yeah.
So think back now to what the people who stayed at our house must have thought. Because it had to be super weird. Because it's like these two teenagers
living in a house
by themselves.
Yeah.
Decorated like
By
a
their
Southern
mom.
woman.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm sure someone has some stories out there about
Yeah.
staying with us. Like, I remember the band The Makeup stayed with us. I wonder, I think back now after touring, like what they must have thought of staying with us.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Love
good.
Love it.
Yeah. So what else you
Yeah.
got? You got some others. You got some other stories
Yeah.
loaded
some
for
other
us.
stuff. Just to wrap up that tour really quick.
Yeah.
The last show we played on that tour was in Kentucky.
Yeah.
And
In Lexington.
and they wouldn't let us be in the venue. Like you're saying earlier, they wouldn't let us be in the venue. We're under 21.
Yeah.
Again, the band that we're opening for has family, and they say, yeah, our wives are coming to see us,
Oh my
but they kind
God.
of need to get back to the kids, and we need to go with them. So we're going to go first, and that way they can all leave, and then you can play after.
Yeah.
That's like,
You guys were like touring with a "fuck us over" sign on.
Yeah,
you guys.
yeah, for
You
real.
know,
Yeah.
It's like,
And so we decide, well, we may as well try and get some people to come to the show.
Yeah.
And so I don my Teletubby costume. William puts on his Darth Vader costume. And we just decide we're going to go walk through. And Graham and Andrew are like...
wait a second. You did say Lexington, Kentucky, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kentucky.
Yeah.
Right. That's,
Yeah.
And so Graham and Andrew are both like, I don't know what these idiots think they're doing, but I'm not into it.
We're not a
Stay
part of
safe.
this.
So William and
Yeah.
I are walking around and trying to like talk to whoever we can. City bus is like driving down the street, pulls over to the opposite side of the street, full of people. Like
Yeah.
on duty city bus pulls over.
Not a bus stop.
The bus driver rolls down the window, yells, "Get a fucking job!" Rolls the window back up
And just drives away.
keeps going.
We're
And-
just like, this is our job.
Yeah, this is kind of my job. And we
Oh
go
my
try and
God.
talk to someone, and like things like, oh yeah, cool, like I'm into bands. What do you sound like? It's like, oh, like I don't know, like have you ever heard of the Talking Heads? Like, yeah, I fucking hate the Talking Heads.
Oh.
Okay, cool.
Like,
See
cool,
you later.
perfect.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So
someone
like,
actually said that to you?
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we have this antagonistic
Like, who-
series of
who is the Talking
conversations.
Heads?
wow, that's amazing.
Go back to the
Who hates
venue.
it? I mean,
I know. Like,
Yeah. First band is loading out. It's like, hey man, like all yours. Have a good night. Get in their car. Zoom off.
Yeah.
We're allowed back in the room. It's set up so that bar one room, stage other room. So there's people coming in, and they're charging people to come into the bar.
Yeah.
But so these people have paid to see music, and they're just choosing not to see us, which I'm sure that night was a perfectly reasonable decision to make. Except for one guy who comes in wearing his full scrubs
Oh, okay.
and a plate of pork chops. And
No, dude, they were beef ribs.
beef ribs.
What?
You're right. Beef ribs.
A industrial kitchen flat tray
Oh my
full
God.
of beef ribs. Like,
That's
and
so
this
weird.
dude had just like crazy eyes. He was like in full scrubs
Wow.
with beef ribs.
Yeah. What?
was he
looking-
eating them or was he offering them to y'all?
Kind of both.
Kind of both.
Kind
Oh.
of neither. He was more carrying them, and if you he kind of get them a little close to you, and if you happen to grab one, he wasn't upset about it.
Yeah.
But and he wasn't saying like, "Hey, all I made some." He was just holding them and staring at us. So we start.
He was friends with the wood nymph.
Yeah, he was.
So we start playing, and this guy's the only person in the room. Yeah. I mean, it's really just us playing to him, and he he kind of walks up, and Graham is singing. Yeah. And just to him, it's not like, but we're trying to effectively have live band practice, which all of us have done.
Right, but mid-show.
Right,
yeah.
But mid quote-unquote show.
Sure.
And so the guy sort of leans into Graham and then leans away, and his mouth is open like he's about to say something, but, he's not really saying anything, and then leans a little closer and then leans away. And so Graham's still singing, but looking at him what are you trying to say? What's going on?
Pretty weird vibes.
Yeah.
And the guy just finally James Taylor, Bruce Springsteen, and just starts listing singers. Just starts listing people that are singers.
Okay.
Janis Joplin. Just starts nonstop, and then just backs away. And Graham's like, "Yeah, totally, man.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm
absolutely.
Singing too."
Yeah.
And then he walks up, and he I'm playing bass, and he does the same thing. Just Jaco Pastorius, Bootsy Collins, Victor Wooten, just starts going and going and going.
Okay, sure. While you're playing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then he just walks away.
Is there a stage that he walked up onto to do this, or were you playing on the floor?
We were playing on a stage.
Okay, yeah. So Grape Soda was playing in Baltimore once at this squat house art place, whatever, the kind of place that you play in Baltimore. Mm-hmm. And this woman was so wasted there, and she climbed up. We were playing on a stage that was this high up. Yeah. She climbed up drunk, in the middle of the set while we're playing Grape Soda, where it was just two people. So Matt's facing me and I'm facing him, and she got between the keyboard and the drums and leaned over the toms while I'm playing mid-song. And starts screaming the name of Led Zeppelin songs at me to request them, I guess. And I was like, okay, and I'm playing, and I'm trying not to hit her. And
I would start using her head.
Yeah, she's leaning in and whatever, and there's a whole room of people that are completely fucked up. Everyone who ran the venue had dropped acid before the show. So then, and it was upstairs with a service elevator. We couldn't figure out how to get out because they were all tripping so hard they couldn't tell us where to get out from. It was anyway.
Hold the ground there, man.
Somebody getting on the stage, and also a friend had recently died in a service elevator accident, and so I was freaking out already,
especially in Baltimore, where it's just
exactly, especially because
questionable at best.
I had just finished watching The Wire, and we were basically playing in the set of The Wire.
Right.
Yeah, right around the corner were all the Baltimore City public housing places that have been boarded up that people pulled the boards off of and are living in illegally. Yeah, it was okay, cool.
Yeah.
So anyway,
it's a pretty good transition to one of the other things I want to talk about, which is. Jace Bartett, who also plays in Cinemechanica and Bit Brigade as his own
Double Ferrari.
Fucking awesome guitar player. He definitely is a part of the heart of Reptar and toured with us for a couple years.
Yeah.
And one of the first shows he ever played with us was the show at Mammal Gallery, where he's a technical guitar player. He's doing stuff where it's he needs to be paying attention and he needs to be doing it. And so we're playing the show. And it, it was a lot of people, a couple hundred people, and it was a fucking awesome show.
Yeah.
In the middle of it, we're playing this one song, and it's called Easier to Die. And the main thing is Graham and Jace are doing this guitar thing together. And all of a sudden, this girl just running jump, gets up on stage and just beelines for Jace. And Jace is trying to play. It's
what
the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
And she's just
slow motion. This girl
grabbing
charging
at him and trying to get a hold of his face. And Jace is just literally
trying to get away from him.
Trying to keep playing, but trying to dodge it. And he just starts screaming, "Help! Help me! Help me!" And she's just trying to wrangle his face closer and closer. And
that's so funny.
Yeah, and this, Jace finally stops playing. He's just go, and just shoves her off the stage. And there's enough people where she's safely crowd surfed away from the stage.
Oh my god!
And then she comes up to me after the show. It's man, I can't believe your fucking guitar player rejected me like that. It's what are you talking about?
What was she trying? Was she trying to make out with him on stage? Is that was okay?
What other job does someone come in and get up in someone's face at the job and was like,
Yeah, exactly.
Other than being in a band, what makes people think they can just jump up on stage and like do what the fuck ever they want to the people up on stage? I've never gotten that.
Yeah.
Like I don't go into McDonald's and like jump up on the counter and just be like,
start yelling at them.
Yeah. Start like,
well, you don't do that, but some
something.
people do.
Then right the manager.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I can't believe you guys got mad at me.
Can't believe they didn't like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
that's good.
Yeah, and which reminds me of another show we played in Lawrence, Kansas, at this place called the Bottle Tree or Bottleneck.
Bottleneck. Yeah.
Cool. So played there. We were touring with Quiet Hooves.
Okay.
So, I mean, that tour already...
I was going to say, which is like a whole nother episode of this podcast in and of its own right.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean...
we can do that.
Yeah.
Like, we can do
that
you know, I mean, good guests we have back. So, you know, like we can, you know... But go ahead, tell that.
So, you know, that was already like... They were an 8-piece band. We were a 7-piece band for that. You know, so it was 15 people, 15, you know, beautiful, sweethearted freak weirdos rolling into town.
Right.
You know... And
how did that work?
Didn't. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it was. I
mean, it did.
3 vans, basically.
We had a big like airport shuttle thing. That was a nightmare. But so like half of them rode with us, and then I think was it Clancy's van? I think like Clancy.
It may have been.
Like Clancy had this old like.
I remember that van. Yeah.
Like no windows.
Yep.
Like,
yeah.
cargo
Actually,
van.
Grave Soda toured with Witches, and we both toured in that van.
Yeah.
So I bounced around the back of that van for a while.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely a lot of stories from that. But so we roll up to Lawrence. We set up. Not that many people come. You know, about 12 people probably paid to come see it.
Okay.
And the entire show was just a whittling down of the crowd. Not because they wanted to leave, but 2 people got kicked out before Quiet Hooves started for getting in a fight.
Oh my God.
Before Quiet Hooves, like after they line checked, but before they played, 2 people got up and started playing their instruments, so they got kicked out.
No way.
Again, what possesses someone?
Lawrence, Kansas, man. That place is...
In the middle of the set, I don't know if y'all know Greg particularly well, but...
Greg O'Connell.
No, I know him, but not super well.
So he's like super brilliant, like great at fixing stuff, great at being like... He's not like a tiny person or anything, but, you know, he's like... fairly thin, average height, playing a guitar, jumping around playing, a little guitar, not a full guitar, but like a small thing that he really had just like glued a guitar strap onto.
Right.
So in the middle of the set, a girl jumps up on stage and says, "Greg O'Connell, that's the guy I want to make out with right now."
What the hell?
And so Greg again is just like, and he is at least a little more mobile because he's got a smaller thing.
Yeah.
And he's like,
trying to
dodging around the 8 other people in Quiet Hooves trying
Oh my God.
trying to get away from her. So she gets kicked out.
Okay.
They get off stage. They're like, "Well, that's over, and that's the best thing I can say about it." So before we play, someone gets in a fight with the bartender, and he gets kicked out. He's drunk enough that they physically, they walk. They're not like being super pushy or anything. They just walk him to the door.
Yeah.
And he's like trying to turn around and get them off him, but also pretty drunk, and ends up stumbling out the front door of the club, across the street, which thankfully no cars were driving around at the time, and slams headfirst into the side of Quiet Who's van, leaving a head-shaped dent in the side of it.
Oh my God.
So now we're down to like 5 people there, and we get on stage, and 3 of those 5 people decide to spend the entire set just yelling, "Play Crash" by Dave Matthews Band.
Oh my God.
Play in the middle of every single song. Not in between songs, in the middle of every single song. God. Just Play Crash by Dave Matthews Band.
Lawrence, Kansas. That's
So that's the next hit that you're writing. Play Crash by
Dave Matthews Band.
Is it better to get Crash or Freebird?
Yeah, I mean, at least Crash is
Jacksonville,
new.
so Freebird, I mean, every fucking show you went to.
Yeah.
Play Freebird!
Oh, man, that's so original.
I know.
At that Nate-related show this Saturday, Emily's dad, he's like a farmer from Rome, was there, and he yelled Freebird.
That was him. Okay.
I was like,
yeah, because I remember somebody yelled Freebird, and I was like, huh?
Yeah.
Like, remember? We were standing next to each other. We were both like, wait, what?
Yeah. No,
that was her dad?
It's our lead singer's dad. I was just like, come on,
I met him afterwards, and I've never met Emily, but like my friend Jessica was like, yeah, this is Emily's dad. You got to meet him. Like, you know Emily? I'm like, no, but all right. Dude, hi.
Hey, Dad. Yeah, that's so funny. And then he yelled Freebird at you. Yeah. So you guys get some more gems for us, or you? All right.
I've got plenty more.
You want to wrap it up?
Yeah.
I don't have to, but he's got to.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you want to tell any neighbor-related tour stories while you're still around.
Yeah. Well,
we can come back and do this again. This is good. This is good stuff.
I do have one Reptar one that I want to tell real quick, just because it was like, this one was more just awesome. It wasn't like weird or funny. It was just like really cool. But so Ryan had a friend that he had gone to college with who was from New York City, and this guy's parents apparently owned this art gallery. And so we were up there. This is like before we knew too many people in New York. And I forgot what we had done, like why we were up there. But it was pretty late, and we were trying to find somewhere to stay. And so Ryan like calls this friend of his and just like, hey man, know you're from the city. Like, do you know anywhere we could crash?
The hardest place to find a place to stay.
It was like 1 a.m. by that point. So it was like desperation.
Yeah, because what are you gonna do? Sleep on the street? You can't stay in a hotel there.
Yeah. And so calls this guy. What is his name?
Boji.
His name is Boji, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But and so he's like, let me call my parents. And so calls his parents, and fortunately his parents are like, yeah, sure, come on down. His parents live in a gallery in Chelsea.
Oh wow.
And so we drive over to Chelsea and knock on this like huge warehouse door.
Yeah.
And this guy just opens the door. It's like, really late. He opens the door, and he is this like beautiful Hungarian art dealer that just he's like bald, has these like wire frame bottle cap glasses, and is completely naked except for just a sarong.
Oh. Okay.
And he's like, you must be the band.
Oh,
and we're like, yes, we are. And he just like opens the door and like leads us in to the main gallery room.
Yeah.
And we're just like, oh yeah, cool. And he has a single air mattress set up in the middle of the room. And we're just like, okay.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, so he was like, yeah, would you guys like to see the exhibit that we have on right now? And we're just like, yeah, totally. And so the exhibit that they had on was, y'all remember Second Life? That like computer internet game? So basically there was some like digital artist that had hacked Second Life somehow, and it was just like glitched out Second Life. But it was really cool and weird. And so he turns on, he was like kind of like talking about it for a second. He's like, okay, well, it's very late, so I'll be upstairs if you need anything. Just walks out, but the thing is still on.
Oh,
and
God.
It's the way that it works is it's this immersive thing. So the room is just basically a box. So it's like being projected on all 4 walls of the box. And it's like...
And the ceiling.
And the ceiling.
My God.
And it's like full wall projection.
So
like,
just all around you.
Right.
All around us. I mean, it's huge. Like the room is huge. And he just goes upstairs, leaves it on. I mean, it's silent, but like
still
very bright.
Yeah.
And it's crazy as shit. And so we were just like, okay, well, yeah. It's like, this is very weird.
That's amazing.
And you made a music video.
He did come down in the morning before we woke up, and there was a sound part of it that he hadn't turned on, but he turned the sound part to like and sort of faded
to
it
wake
in
you up
to
slowly.
sort of wake us up.
Yeah.
I mean, he
An
and
arty
his wife
wake-up call.
were incredibly sweet to us.
That's awesome.
You know, he was like, I'd love to show you more exhibits, but you know, it's late, so you know, you should probably. But the next morning, like, gave us a full tour, took us up to the roof of this place, and made us breakfast on the rooftop
awesome.
in Chelsea.
Like espresso and croissants and stuff.
Man.
It was amazing. But like, it was just that was just like one of those situations on tour. You know, you find yourself, you're just like, how the fuck?
Yeah,
did
what
I
is
get
this
here?
world?
Like,
Like,
like
Yeah, but how many
That's
times have
amazing.
you said that to yourself on tour? It's
That's
like
the best
every
thing about
other
being on
day,
tour.
basically.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, this.
How the fuck did I? What the?
Yeah. That one in particular, I was just like, man, this is some insight into a world of which I know nothing about.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, so I guess we should probably wrap it up for now, but I want to have you guys back on at some point because this was great and there's more stories I know. But before we go, though, your current project, I mean, Reptar, you were saying just played a show on New Year's, which not just, but recently played a show. So there's still Reptar in the
still some
future.
life
But so now, though, Curt Castle, you've decided you're tired of going by the name Ryan Engelberger and you don't want to have to do that anymore.
I mean, you could barely even
so
remember
you
it just then.
went,
Just
you
sort
know,
of, you know,
Ryan
Yeah, it's the that it's right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
That's the part that I don't always remember.
Yeah, so I wanted to do something that was derivative of my name. So my middle name is Curt.
Yeah.
So that seemed like an easy enough thing to go by.
Yeah.
You know, my goals were I wanted to like sound like it could either be a band name, like adjective, noun, or and like a name that someone could feasibly have.
Yeah.
Or but also sort of create a digital barrier so that if you search, you know, it's not like if you search Ryan Engelberger, you're gonna find a bunch of personal shit about me hypothetically that like, you know, it's not like I'm trying to hide anything, but I feel like
where you went to
this,
school.
Yeah,
clearly.
exactly. In this super digital world, you know, just every little barrier that you can you know, create sort of helps.
So you're trying to make yourself harder to find.
Or just at least have a thing that's a little more controllable. So Curt is my middle name, and then Engelberger in German roughly translates to like if you just means from Engelberg.
Okay.
So and then Engelberg, Engel means angel, and then Berg means fortress or mountain or castle.
Curt
like,
Angel Castle.
Yeah.
Yeah, Curt Angel Fortress.
I had a philosophy teacher once that used to call me Angel Mountain because he was German. And thought that was funny.
Yeah. Well, that's good. So you've got an album.
So I have an album. I recorded it with Drew Vandenberg over at Chase Park.
Yeah. And we just did the test pressings on the 7-inch earlier in the podcast. They were approved. Yeah. So that's awesome. And then the album's going to come out, and you're playing some shows. You're going out west, right?
I don't have any definite plans for. Yeah, I mean, my life plan is to end up really in Olympia, Washington, because there's amazing, you know, people that I know out there, and or not. I mean, who knows how long that'll take? But in the meantime, you know, I've just got enough band friends that I can, you know, sort of patch together small support things around here. That
that's
hopefully,
awesome.
Hopefully, will translate to something, and
cool.
If nothing else, are fun.
Are we doing that 529 show soon on a Monday? No. Okay. I have something in my calendar.
And Neighbor Lady has an album about to come out.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Neighbor Lady has a record that's coming out May 11th.
Awesome.
We're playing a release show here at Caledonia on May 17th.
Cool. 2 days before my birthday, 1 day before Matt's birthday.
Nice.
Yeah.
The
great times.
Yeah.
So that's coming out, and
that's
so
coming out.
People can find Curt Castle and Neighbor Lady music by searching on the internet, right? Or not Curt Castle yet.
You will be able to soon. I mean,
Yeah.
I have a SoundCloud page that you can find. But,
Look it up, people. Go find it.
It's slowly creeping out there.
Cool. Well,
And,
thank you guys for coming in. This was
thank you
totally
so much
awesome.
for having us.
We'll have to do it again.
We will.
Yes, we got more stories.
I want to like prepare stories next time because I didn't even know I was coming to this until like an hour before this. So
yeah, it works well both
like,
ways. Sometimes it's better to not know what the hell's happening, and other times it's better to have an idea. So we'll have you back. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks.
See ya.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Load In, Load Out, a tour story podcast produced by me, Bill Fortenberry. Our associate producer is Alex Scarborough. Our public service announcements were written by Lydia Brambilla and Matt Lewis. And as always, our hosts are Cash Carter and Ryan Lewis. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you back here next time.